Too often I get emails about people asking about their eggplants and saying they've tried to grow them, and I'm focusing more to the southern regions of Australia, where they've tried to grow eggplants through the season and for one reason or another they just never get a chance to mature properly. Now there's a number of reasons why that can happen. Main one is temperature. Obviously, getting the right temperature long enough, and if the season's correct, and stable, you'll get a good growth out of it. The other one is obviously the quality of your soil, having the life in the soil. Now, it won't just be your eggplants that suffer, all your plants will, but if you have eggplants that don't seem to produce well, and you live in Victoria, like I do, although I do get some good eggplants growing, this is another one I'm going to demonstrate now on how you can achieve eggplants year after year from the same plant with a bit of protection and care taken. And you can not have to remove it at the end of the season, but rather protect it, and the following season or following springtime you get another burst of eggplants coming straight off your plant nice and early. Now what I've got in front of me here, for those who don't know, are rootstocks, and these are wild rootstocks or Solanum rootstocks, known as Solanum mimosum. That's one of the names. There's a couple of varieties of these. The devil plant has a common name. Cow's udder. Now I'm not sure how they got that, but devil plant is the most common one that we sort of go by. Now they don't produce a fruit. Well, they do a very small insignificant fruit, quite a small round one, and yellow. They are very spiny. They've got a lot of prickles on them. These ones, as you can see, have stretched out, and I've got them to stretch out purposely because I want them to grow. I've grown them in the shade, part shade, so they have to stretch out for the sun. And the reason why I've done that is because I want these long, little, skinny little stems here like that. I want them so that I can propagate and make multiple plants out of this. So what we do is graft our eggplants. I haven't said that yet, but we graft our eggplants onto this rootstock, which takes almost immediately. Now, I was planning to do it right now. It's late in the afternoon, so you guys know that by the time you watch this, I'll be well and truly on my way to South Australia. So I won't have anybody here on the weekend to look after them properly. And as much as I love my family, I don't think they love my garden as much as I love them. But they do give it a go. So I'm not going to put the pressure on them. So I'm not going to graft all these. I'm going to show you how I propagate these. And I've got some small pots here already with some of our mix in them. Now, no matter where you try and grab this on the stem, it is completely covered in spines. And you'd think over the years, or centuries, as plants evolved and everything has evolved, these develop these spines because there must be something in them that attracts some sort of animal that loves to eat them, a predator of some sort, or that just feeds off them. So they develop all these spines not only on the stems, that's a defense mechanism, but they've also got them on the leaves as well. So, and if you look carefully on your eggplants, they also too have little spines on them, or prickles, especially on the leaves. They don't look like this, the leaves, but they do definitely have something along the vein of it. Now, I'm looking for a spot right up here where the fresh part is where I'm going to cut it. Now, normally about 20 centimetres in length, 8 inches approximately, is the length you want to cut. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to remove these leaves. They're useless to me. I don't want them on it because we've got no roots to keep them fresh and alive. So we're going to take it all the way down, and this is already starting to burst into flower. So we're going to remove that leaf as well. That's all we're leaving. Now at the base, you can damage it a little bit, and that's what I do a little bit. Just hit it, not too hard to squash it, but just to bruise it up a bit so that it has to heal. And now in the process of healing, all those little microbes that live on the plant and around the base, when they get into the soil like this one here, no, I'm not using any liquid hormones or powder, folks, but when they get into this soil here like that, immediately they'll start to activate and start to connect with the plant itself. Now we're going to water some liquid gold into here, which is our seaweed, but before we do that, let's finish off the rest of them. Now we'll cut another one, about 20 centimetres again. You can cut them on an angle, cut them straight. I mean, there's reasons to every method, good and bad. I just cut them straight, bruise it around the base, as you can see that, and straight in, like that. Now, we won't press it down yet. Now I'm going to cut one more off this one here, because I think I can get another one. And look, I still got the rootstock, so I haven't lost my stock plant. That will just keep growing again. Yeah, see, I've just cracked the skin open here. Now, it's by hitting it, that is, bruising it up. Maybe you don't need to crack it open that much, but that's what tends to happen. Now you can do that, and if you don't want to do that, you have the option of using a Rootex gel or a Rootex powder. We have those available on our website. They just, they stimulate root development on them. So I suppose it's a good thing to use, but knowing this plant and how fast it grows and how powerful it is, it really doesn't need any aid in developing more roots. But if you're trying this for the first time, and look, on other plant varieties, definitely use a rooting hormone powder or liquid just to help it along. And when you do cuttings like that, don't put them somewhere where it's too hot. As opposed to protecting your seedlings as they're growing, because you need the warmth there. You want these warm, yes, but you don't want them hot to the point where they dehydrate. They'll start to sweat it all out there, and the plants will struggle long term. So you're better off keeping them somewhere where it's nice and calm, sort of temperate environment, away from high winds, and obviously away from direct sunlight for the first few days, so they can settle down. You want dappled light, a little bit of morning's okay, but not out in the open where the sun's blaring on them all day. All right, we've got one more to do to finish off this little batch. Now, when it comes to grafting these are a little bit woody, folks, these bases that I've got here. But even so, I'm going to demonstrate one just to give you an idea. This needs a little bit more soil. We'll top that up afterwards. And again, liquid feed them with our liquid gold. Any cuttings you do, that's all you need. You don't need the Eco Butch at this stage, just a liquid gold to get them going. Now, these ones have been sitting under the pine trees there, and you can see there's a lot of pine needles in here, a lot of dehydration going on. That is a nice diameter, although it's very, very woody. Now, when it comes to grafting, let me find my glasses. Did I bring them? I must have brought them. They're over here. Thank you. Somebody's watching. Now, when it comes to grafting, no matter what plant you're doing, you're looking for the cambium layer, which is the part where the sap flows, where it's the conduit where all the moisture runs up and down the plant, not the center of the stem. That's the mistake many people make when they try and graft. When we're doing a sign wood, which is a piece of wood onto another rootstock or another piece of wood, this center part here is the old wood. That's last year's or the years before, right? So yes, there is moisture there, but that's not where the active sap is. The active sap is just below the outer skin here. So where you see that sort of lime green color between the outer skin or bark and the inner wood, that is this year's growth, that's this year's ring, and that's where the sap flows this year. And as it gets older, another layer will grow on top, and it'll just get wider and wider in diameter. So every time you do a cross section, you'll always have this configuration. The wood inside, last year's or years before, you've got the cambium layer, nice and simple, sap flow, and that's what we need to line up. So whatever piece of wood you're grafting on, whatever sign wood you're using, now I'm using this as a demonstration. See the diameter on this one here? How much smaller it is? Now, so I'm going to use this leaf as a demonstration. So what I'm doing here is a wedge cut. That's one side, spin up the other side and do the same. And this is very succulent, so you've got to be pretty careful. Oh, see, didn't quite get it all. Terrible example, simply a horrible example here, folks. We're doing the wedge cut. I might just get the eggplant out. Anyway, I'm just cutting the bottom off there. So you're doing a flathead screwdriver. Now that's, we're not going to graft this. Maybe we are. So what we want to do now, so when I've done a splice across there and I've exposed it, you can see around the edge there, the dark sort of lime green, that's the cambium layer there. We need that to make direct contact with the cambium layer here. So what we do is we split it open. Now I'm doing it this way and I'm rocking my blade back and forth, just letting it do the work, just ever so slight pressure down. There we are, we've opened it up. Line up the depth a little bit more maybe. There we are. Now when we insert this, because the diameter is a lot narrower, the top one that is, to the bottom, we're not going to stick it in the middle because we're not lining up any cambium layers there. What we're going to do is we're going to wedge it down the one side. So let me just open that up again and try and push this in. I might have to cut it open just a little bit more because it's so delicate and this is so woody. We've got two different grades of wood here, folks. We've got a succulent soft piece here and we've got a really sort of semi-hardwood going on there. And we need to, and I'm look for the cameras, I'm being very careful here, but off cameras I'd be as rough as guts doing it. But anyway, there we are. Just give me a second to push it in. Now you can see how I've lined it up to the one side, right? It just needs to go down a little bit more. There we are. But the actual stem is slightly in from the edge, so it's not perfectly flush. That's because the thickness of the bark or skin on this on the outside is far thinner than what it is on this. So you don't want it perfectly flush on the outside. And again, this leaf is way too big for me. So I'm just going to get rid of it for the purpose of the demonstration. And you can see down the side there. Does that help? You can see how nice and clean that is. I'm just cleaning up the other side before I show it off. There we are. So that's sort of wedged nice and tight there. And the other side is set back a little bit. Now, in a small thing like this, you can tape it up with a little bit of buddy tape, which is nice and soft, or you can just basically put one of those butterfly clips that we have, or those, I think they're called orchid clips or wing clips, something like that anyway. It just sits there and holds it together nice and tight. But this is quite firm. You literally don't have to do anything. You don't want to put it out in the full sun or in the wind like we have now here, because that will dehydrate quicker than it will actually take, unfortunately. Now, I was going to use these that I bought. Don't ask me where I got them from, right? But I'm going to do them anyway because my supply is very low. Now, when you pick an eggplant like this, you want to make sure it's quite firm at the base, so they've hardened off. You don't want these eggplants to be freshly sprouted, or any plant in fact, and soft and super soft, pretty much like these leaves are. This is quite firm. You can see when they do go firm, they actually turn a slight tinge of purple on them. They have a little bit of a darker colour on them. They're not that sort of limey electric green or lime green colour. So you want them to be firm, and when you grab them, you can feel the firmness in there as well, so that when you come to doing the splicing, you won't slip that easily and you won't destroy it. And remember, don't cut it right down to the bottom. Allow them to grow a little bit taller. So if you've got your seedlings, let them grow taller and remove them about halfway point. So you've got enough growth on top to graft on, but you still have enough at the bottom to allow it to rejuvenate, grow again, get bigger and become its own righteous plant. Or again, take more cuttings off it. So these are going to be my stock plants. I did buy them just today, just to do this demonstration. I could have actually gone to the eggplant, and just before we finish, we'll end up over there, and I want to show you the advanced plant that's in the ground, how it's progressing, even with this crazy radical weather, hot, cold, windy, not windy, dry, wet. I want to show you that eggplant and see how you can take a cutting off that to match something up of this diameter. Now, if you're interested in these sort of things, just before we go to the other eggplant, they're not available yet, folks, but I'm going to get these ready. I've got another dozen or so there where I'm going to propagate, so I'll end up having 40 or 50 of them. I will get these to take, and then I'll be grafting them. So by the time these are ready, my eggplants have well and truly matured. We'll have some already grafted, but just watch your space. We'll make them available. I don't know how, where, what, when, but don't send emails yet. Just say, yeah, I do want one, but don't send me, where can I get one and how can I get one? Let's go check out the other eggplant. Here's the seedling we planted, I don't know, 6 September. So we're in November now, so it would have been about 7 weeks ago. Weather beaten, as you can see, the leaves have been damaged there. We've had a few caterpillars, or snails in fact, come through earlier on. But the plant, as it's growing, it's getting stronger and stronger. You can see how thick these stems are, and we've already got flowers coming on. Have a look at that. Even though the weather's so cold, now it's dropped down to about 10 degrees, folks, and it's got a chill in the air too, so it's blowing through. So we had the 17 or 20 degrees today, but it's plummeted back down again, and that's typical of this region. And these tomato plants, just a quick one, they're going to go. We cleaned them up, but they're riddled with it, and I didn't cut them back hard enough to control the virus that's on them. And you can see how it's angular leaf spot now. There we've got a lot of that sort of problem going on. They're not as healthy as I would have liked them to be, but these were the earlier ones. And I do remember saying to everybody that, see, this is touch and go. It's a little bit early for tomatoes out here, and it was in September, mid-September. Some of you saying, yeah, you got tomatoes. Come out here and grow some in September. I'll tell you what it's like. Anyway, so yeah, this one's looking like it's coming good, but the other two are gone. So eggplants, if you struggle with them, get them grafted, and you can graft them onto a cherry tomato rootstock, which tends to be a lot stronger than its own. And the whole purpose of that is that it's able to last year after year because these plants are annuals and they die back, whereas the rootstock there on the solanum will last you forever and a day, as long as you look after it from the cold. And there's another eggplant over here that's doing okay, but look at this little one here. At the beginning, this one went backwards. Remember we had, now you probably can't remember, but I can, that this went backwards along with my tomato plants, and this one really did struggle to take off, but it's starting to kick into gear, and at the end of the day, we're going to get some eggplants off it. As cold as and crazy as it is out here. Now, if you're watching this episode, we uploaded it, as I told you folks. I'm on my way, if not already there, to South Australia. So this weekend, Thebarton is opened for all those click and collect, and obviously you can walk in and shop as well. So we'll be open this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, as all the other outlets, Friday and Saturday, and even Sunday for Dandenong and Bulleen. So Taylor's Hill is Mona's out there. She's got some great products, well, all our products in fact. So support your local outlets. If you don't know where they are, go to our website, vasili'sgarden.com, click and collect. We have got our Click Frenzy. I'm trying to remember the actual sale that they're running at the moment. So you get an extra 12% off at checkout. So already discounted prices, but an extra bonus 12% off when you check out. So if you shop this weekend, take advantage of the great specials. vasili'sgarden.com and enjoy your garden. From me, Vasili, Maresi.